Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue. BET, the white-owned black television network, decided to go out here and show its support for black actresses Keke Palmer, Halle Bailey, and Skai Jackson by posting a tweet on Twitter that would show how they were advocating for them to become single mothers and support their decisions to become single mothers. Now, in this tweet that was posted on Twitter, BET stated that Keke Palmer, Halle Bailey, and Skai Jackson don't need approval to become mothers, but deserve empathy and respect, and further went on to say a mental health expert explains how parasocial relationships fuel harsh judgment, especially for young black mothers. Now, all of these words that were posted on Twitter basically were designed to go out here and look to go out and use a white-owned black institution to validate the idea of black women becoming single mothers, and uses these three black actresses' images as the face of black women going out here and deciding to become what they call mothers, and look to try to take off the stigma by just saying that they became mothers and don't need the approval of people as related to that decision. Now, that whole statement on Twitter, as I see it, basically is one big slap in the face to all the black people who went out here and watched BET over the years, and basically shows how the network has been completely compromised ever since the original owner decided to sell the network to the company known as Viacom, which is now known as Paramount Global, and how the new owners go out here and show their contempt for the whole audience of foundational black American women. Because what they're saying here in this statement is that they really don't have respect for black women, and since they don't have any respect for black women, they believe it's perfectly fine to go out here and look to support black women in making a decision to become a single mother. Moreover, they go out here and look to breathe brand new life into the stereotype that has been reinforced by many corporations, where they don't see black women as having a family with a husband and a father in their life. No, what they believe that black women do is go out here and deliberately become single mothers, and this has been shown by many corporations. I remember recently seeing a JCPenney ad where they basically showed that there was no father in the pack on a promotion, and I also remember seeing some packages for products where when they showed a black family, there was no black father. And BET, this black-owned cable channel, which not really black-owned, it's white-owned black cable channel, is also going along with this, and going along with it and pushing this narrative in this statement they post on Twitter. Now, this statement in and of itself basically is an institution of white supremacy looking to push an anti-black family narrative by talking about these black women and looking to use a feminist talking point to reinforce their argument. Now, in the statement, they say Keke Palmer, Halle Bailey, and Skai Jackson don't need approval to become mothers, but the critical question I have to ask is, what institution do they need approval from? Because when I look at that whole statement, it's looking to me like the institution of white supremacy is the one saying that this black woman doesn't need approval from white supremacy to become a single mother, because according to the institution of the Most High God, he meant for a woman to go out here and become a mother in the institution of marriage. Now, according to the Most High God, again, he made men and women to come together in the institution of marriage, and he meant for men and women to come together in the institution of marriage so that several things could happen. One, a man and a woman could come together under him in his order as related to his institution of marriage. Two, that family would have an established legitimate bloodline where everyone could be traced back to their family lineage and know who they came from. And three, they could go out here and share the gospel of Jesus Christ with each other. Those were the standards that God established for family. Unfortunately, what happens to many modern black women is as they get indoctrinated into feminism, which is a subsidiary of the institution of white supremacy, what that institution does is tell them they don't need to meet the standards of God. And since they don't need to meet the standards of the Most High God, what it does is tell them that if they go out here and meet the standards of the institution of white supremacy, they're perfectly fine. However, those women are living in sin, and as they live in sin, they wind up with a compromised moral position. And as they're with this compromised moral position, this is where these women wind up with their lives going on a state of decline, where their whole lives wind up falling completely apart. That's what this tweet really doesn't tell anyone, because as they're sitting there talking about how Keke Palmer, Halle Bailey, and Skai Jackson don't need approval to become mothers, what they don't tell you is that as black women have become single mothers and become a part of the matriarchy, which is a subsidiary of white feminism, which is a subsidiary of white supremacy, those women's lives go into a state where they wind up falling completely apart as they become in this institution of matriarchy, and as they become a part of this matriarchal institution, their whole lives start to become completely dysfunctional. And as their lives become completely dysfunctional, this is where the woman who becomes a single mother usually winds up, again, focusing on her, on trying to do everything, but can't do everything. And God never meant for her to do everything. This is where he meant for her to have a husband who would be her head, a husband who would be her leader, a husband who would be the authority over her. But the institution of white supremacy doesn't want a black woman to have a black man as her head, doesn't want to have a black man as a husband, and doesn't want to have a black man as the one being in charge of this woman, and doesn't want that black woman to submit to that authority figure. So what they do is look to undermine the authority of that black man. And as they look to undermine the authority of that black man, they go out here and tell the black woman that she doesn't need the approval of that black man. That's what's being presented here in this tweet on Twitter. What is being presented here is a middle finger at the authority of that black man and saying, oh, you don't need the approval of that black man to become a mother, and don't need the authority of that black man to become the mother of his children. No, you don't need to become a wife to that black man. No, you can go out here and have this child out of wedlock. And because the institution of white supremacy basically says that this is the standard, this is considered to be the standard by these black women who basically, again, look to serve the institution of white supremacy more than they want to serve God. And because these women basically deify and worship the white man and the institution of white supremacy and look to serve the institution of white supremacy, they are basically, what BET is looking to do is validate the idea in black women's minds. They don't need to go out here and respect the order of God or respect the black man that they got involved with to be the head over them. No, they can submit to the institution of white supremacy, and the institution of white supremacy says that this is perfectly fine, even though it's a sin in the eyes of God. They will sit there and say, this is perfectly fine, and then go out here and use another institution to promote this institutional racism. The first institution they used was this Paramount Global white-owned black television network, BET, to reinforce this and validate this idea. The second thing that they want to do is say that a mental health expert is going out here and explaining how these parasocial relationships fuel harsh judgment. No, it's not parasocial relationships that fuel harsh judgment. No, it's antisocial relationships that fuel the harsh judgment, especially among heterosexual black men. No, this antisocial relationship that was created by feminists in the 1960s and 1970s is the thing that many black men who are responsible men have an issue with, like myself. It's men like myself who have an issue with, because this is antisocial relationships that they are establishing, where women go out here and get involved with men basically to use them for their seed, like in the case of Keke Palmer, where she decided to just get involved with a guy because he was light-skinned and wanted to have a baby by this light-skinned man for the sake of looking to get the light eyes and the curly hair, which is what many spellbound women do. Back in the 80s, when they said they wanted to get involved with Hispanic and Puerto Rican guys. And in the case of Halle Bailey and Skai Jackson, they just decided to become mothers. Halle Bailey decided to become a mother because she saw that her career was on a state of decline after the box office failure of The Little Mermaid, and decided to tether herself to music creator DDG because he was moving up. And in the case of Skai Jackson, she basically got involved with a Pookie because she herself came from a single mother household. And all three of these women basically made bad decisions, but the whole thing is the institution of white supremacy wants to make this the standard for black women and wants to use its institutions to go out here and make this the standard for black female behavior. And this is where I look at BET with a side eye, this white-owned black television network, which is not looking to go out here and look to elevate the image of black women or look to empower black women like it did under its original owner, Bob Johnson. Now, under its original owner, Bob Johnson, there was an effort to try to present balanced images of black men and black women, but Bob Johnson got old and decided to sell the network to Viacom, which eventually became Paramount Global. And Paramount Global goes out here and shows us its contempt for black women by going out here and saying that, oh, these single mothers are mothers, but single mothers are not mothers. No, mothers are women who are wives, and a wife becomes a mother because she is a person who is a part of God's order and is married to her husband, so looking to be a helpmeet to her husband, looking to serve and submit to her husband, looking to be a part of a marriage and be a part of God's order. Moreover, she is, as a part of God's order, again, reinforcing a legitimate bloodline for her children, going out here, allowing them to be a part of a family and a history with a family, and also going out here and understanding her role as a helpmeet is also to be the first teacher to those children. And the first thing she wants to teach her children is to be a part of God's order as she teaches them the gospel. That is what a wife's job is. And again, a wife is an esteemed title in the eyes of God. He makes women into wives, and wives are a part of his order. Whereas in the system of white supremacy, they want baby mamas. They want baby mamas, and they try to spin it and say, oh, this is a mother. No, this is a baby mama, a single mother, and a single mother has a purpose in the institution of white supremacy. A single mother has a purpose in the system of white supremacy, in that this basically winds up delegitimizing bloodlines, and as the first teacher, she is the teacher of dysfunction, because as she looks to lead herself, she winds up with her life basically falling completely apart as she becomes completely overwhelmed. And what white supremacy wants to do with Keke Palmer, Halle Bailey, and Skai Jackson is go out here and look to make them the face of single motherhood, and look to go out here and use these black female celebrities as the face of single motherhood to go out here and program the idea that being a single mother is perfectly fine, because since these women are so-called single, successful, well-educated, and strong and independent, they don't need a man. But what's really ironic here is that many of these same masses of black women that they're trying to sell this image to, and they will buy into this image and this narrative, these are the same women who will go to a church and the black pastor will sit there and teach them his religion. But the whole thing is these women will miss out on the word of God, and miss out on the word of God where it clearly states that the woman's role in Genesis chapter 2, I believe, and also go out here, the apostles Paul states again what the woman needs to do in a marriage. The pastor won't preach those sermons, and won't preach those sermons because the pastor loves mammon more than God. And basically, the pastor is a part of the system of white supremacy, looking to again promote these anti-black messages and anti-black narratives. And it's just, again, disturbing for me that BET wants to go out here and spin this and say, oh, they don't need approval to become mothers and deserve empathy and respect. Again, this is a way of them looking to try to go out here and try to use words to spin narratives with black women, going out here saying that they don't need approval to become mothers, but you do need approval to become a wife, and telling these women that they don't need to become wives, but you'll have it where the white girls will be out here, and you'll be telling the white girls they need to become wives, and that's where this becomes a completely anti-black message produced by a black white network owned by white people, designed to spellbind those black women, designed to spellbind black women and get them to fit into the black box of single motherhood that is acceptable to white supremacy. That's what this whole tweet is all about, getting young black girls to fit into the black box of single motherhood that is acceptable to white supremacy, because white supremacy does not want black women to be elevated to a high position in their own community. No, they want to see black women at the bottom of the world. And as they want to see black women at the bottom of the world, what they do is promote the idea that being a single mother is perfectly fine, but won't promote that idea to their own white women who is elevated to the highest position in society. The white woman is never told to be a single mother. No, being a single mother is frowned on in white society, even among the white feminists. But sadly, many black women don't do any critical thinking. And since they don't do any critical thinking, what they do is think, oh, I'm getting attention from one of these media institutions that are owned by white people. And since I'm getting attention from one of these institutions that is owned by white people, I can be accepted by them and not meet any standards by that black man who has been demonized as trifling, demonized as no good, demonized as lazy. But meanwhile, you've got responsible brothers out here, and we want our women to become wives. We want our women to become esteemed as related to getting the title of wife and having the title of wife that God wants them to have. And we want to give them that respect by making them wives. And we're not needing to listen to any mental health expert who wants to go out here and promote anti-social relationships and anti-black racism and try to say that it's harsh judgment. No, we have harsh judgment because we want to see our sisters be respected, and by going out here and giving them marriage and making them a wife, that's how we respect a sister, by making them a wife. That's how a man shows his love for a woman. But the mainstream media wants to promote, again, anti-black messaging, and part of anti-black messaging is promoting self-hatred, where the black woman goes out here and looks to go out here and participate in anti-social relationships, like doing things like creating covert contracts, like in the case of Keke Palmer, where she was looking to again have this child just because the guy was light skinned, or Skai Jackson, who was basically involved with a biracial Pookie because he was light skinned, or in the case of Halle Bailey, again getting involved with a guy because of his money. And again, these are women who again became mothers because they were not taught how to be women. No, they were taught how to be feminist and not women, because I talk about this in depth in my book, The Woman Crisis. And in my book, The Woman Crisis, I talk about how a feminist indoctrinated woman basically doesn't understand her role as a woman. And since she doesn't understand her role as a woman because her mother never taught her how to be a woman under the standard of God, that woman winds up becoming completely spiritually lost. And as she becomes spiritually lost, she winds up on the road to becoming a single mother who becomes a part of the sisterhood of failure, who is a part of the black matriarchy, a matriarchy that basically has led to the complete collapse of the black community, and led to the collapse of the black community because there is no moral position among these women, and the only direction that black women have gone has been in a major state of decline ever since black women decided to side with the feminist movement. And what's really sad is many of those black women can't see how white supremacist institutions want to keep them completely oppressed. No, many of these women get spellbound by these black female celebrities and look to fit themselves into a black box that's acceptable to white supremacy, where they think they can still have success and be a single mom. But the whole thing is that as they, again, passively promote these women, aggressively they work against the black family. And as they work against the black family, all they do is wind up creating a situation where 70% of black women continue to remain single. And as they continue to remain single, they participate in a paradigm of failure where they're taught not the things that they need to know in order to become a wife and a mother. Because feminism doesn't like wives and who become mothers, because they're submitted to men having functional families and are able to go on because that child has a father in their life, and that child is being taught the gospel instead of taught the religion of white supremacy. And sadly, many black women don't see where they're going. They don't see how institutions like PET are not about going out here and creating media that is about going out here and helping black people. No, black entertainment television, now owned by white supremacy, is all about creating media that entertains white supremacists, and the white supremacist gets entertained when they see black people participating in the paradigm of failure. And this is why you have to go out here and check out new black media like I present on my SJS Direct imprint. My SJS Direct imprint, I go out here and I write stories that feature black fathers and show you how functional relationships work, whether they be the ones who are monogamous, like I presented in my book, A Recipe for Success, or a polygynous one, like the character Isis comes from the Isis series. I show you how family actually works in many of my books. I show you how fathers have an impact. As related to a book I did call The Thetas, a Black Sorority Story, I show you the role of fathers and mothers, and this is very important because family is very important, and having a family with a father in it is extremely essential to a child's growth and development. A child needs their father in their life, and they need to see a husband going out here and respecting his wife and leading his household. That's what they need to see. But you won't see that on institutions like BET, again, a white-owned black television network, that is not looking to empower black people, because promoting the idea of black women becoming single mothers, in my eyes, is extremely irresponsible. And one of the reasons that I would say, this is why we need to go get new black media, because when they go out here and look to say, we're going to get a mental health expert to go out here and promote anti-social relationships as parasocial, it really shows me how anti-black the network of BET is, and how it's not looking out for the best interest of foundational black Americans. Now, if you want to check out many of my books that feature black fathers and show you a model of a healthy family, you can find those books such as The Thetas, A Recipe for Success, the books in the Isis and Esteem series, And even my book, John Haynes, 1987, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn more about the paradigm of failure that the networks like BET want to promote and how they want to continue driving a gender divide between black men and black women by looking to validate dysfunctional ideas, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Why 70% of Black Women Are Single at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn why so many women in general basically are on a road where they just, again, are on a complete mess, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me be able to stay on the air and continue making more content, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.